You are Euros trade retrying to run away from me. The words, barely a whisper, sliced through the stale air of the empty classroom. He had me cornered, one hand braced against the desk beside my head, caging me in. My heart was a frantic drum against my ribs, a wild animal trapped and terrified. Why, Elias? His voice was low, laced with a raw hurt that I didn't understand, that I wasn't prepared for. I was just trying to move dorms, to put some distance between us, to save what was left of my sanity after the past few weeks. But looking into his dark, intense eyes, I realized I wasn't Euros trade running from him. I was running from the boy who trembled in his arms just last night. The first time I laid eyes on my new roommate, I was pretty sure my ability to form coherent thoughts had permanently short-circuited. There he was, Easton, leaning against the sterile metal bed frame of our new dorm room. He looked less like a college freshman and more like a carefully sculpted piece of art that had just sauntered out of a high-fashion magazine. His jawline could cut glass, his dark hair fell with a kind of calculated messiness, and his pale skin seemed to have its own internal light source. When his dark eyes flickered up and caught me staring, my mouth agape, I felt a hot flush creep up my neck. Fantastic. My first impression was officially gawking village idiot. I managed to snap my jaw shut and pasted on a grin that I hoped screamed a circumflex Euros approachable and friendlier Euros trade, and not a circumflex Euros deeply weird kid from the middle of nowhere. A circumflex Euros trade, hey, I managed, my voice squeaking on the single syllable. Our Euros trade Elias. Looks like we Euros trade roommates. Super excited. The last part was a lie I told to my own cracking voice. He held my gaze for a moment that stretched into an eternity, his expression unreadable. Then he spoke, his voice a slow, smooth current of sound. Easton. Just the one word, as if speaking was a luxury he couldn't afford to waste. That name echoed in the back of my mind. I knew our Euros trade heard it before. Then it slammed into me with the force of a freight train. A few nights ago, our Euros trade been doom scrolling through the University Euros Trade's online forum, trying to get a lay of the land, and his name was everywhere. Easton unanimously voted the A Circumflex Euros freshman king. A Circumflex Euros trade the undisputed most attractive guy on campus. And he was my roommate. I had somehow, through a cosmic lottery I didn't even know our Euros trade entered, won the roommate jackpot. Our dorm was a 4-person suite, and it wasn't long before our other 2 roommates, Jason and Parker, tumbled in. Jason had a booming laugh that seemed to physically take up space, and Parker was already making cynical jokes about the legendary awfulness of the cafeteria food. We went through the ritual of introductions, and for a fleeting moment, I felt a wave of relief. They seemed normal. They didn't seem to immediately peg me as the country bumpkin I was. So, Elias, Jason said, squinting at me with a friendly curiosity. You from down south or something? You are Euros trade v got this Euros delicate sort of vibe. I blinked, instinctively glancing down at my own lanky, unimpressive frame. Delicate? Me? Nar, our Euros trade am from a tiny town way up north, I said, attempting a casual laugh. Definitely not delicate. I gave my bicep a pathetic squeeze for comedic effect, which only highlighted its non-existence. My eyes, of their own accord, drifted back to Easton. He was sitting on his bed, one long leg stretched out, completely absorbed in his phone. But I couldn't help but catalog the easy strength in his frame, Euros, the broad shoulders tapering to a lean waist. The kind of effortless athletic build that made you feel both deeply inadequate and vaguely inspired. Parker chuckled, following my gaze. "No offense, man," he said, nudging me. "But standing next to Easton, we Eurostrade all just twigs." I muttered a thanks for the confidence boost, stealing another look at the man in question. A tiny, almost imperceptible smirk played on his lips. Was he laughing at me? My cheeks burned, but a new determination solidified in my gut. I would befriend this guy. If I could get on the good side of the campus king, my entire college experience would be set. I imagined a life of exclusive parties, instant popularity, and maybe, just maybe, some of his magnetic charm would rub off on me. Then, Easton spoke again, his voice that same low, magnetic hum. "Our Eurostrade from the north, too." He named a town so ridiculously close to my own that I nearly choked on my own saliva. "No way," I blurted out, my voice louder than I intended. "We Eurostrade practically neighbors. Tharter Eurostrade's got to be a sign, right?" For a split second, his eyes darkened, a flash of some unreadable emotion crossing his face, as if our Eurostrade said something far more profound than just stating a geographical fact. "Yeah," he said, his voice softer this time, "it does." I shifted on my own bed, suddenly hyper-aware of the proximity of our bunks. We were arranged head-to-head, a detail that now felt both intensely cool and deeply intimidating. While Jason and Parker chattered on, Easton fell silent again, his gaze lingering on me as if he were solving a complex puzzle. I let out a nervous laugh to break the tension, and he simply arched a perfect eyebrow in response. "Smooth, Elias. Real smooth." We talked about grabbing dinner, a plan that was quickly torpedoed by the University Eurostrade's schedule. A mandatory, week-long, military-style boot camp was starting at the crack of dawn. So much for bonding over burgers. Jason let out a theatrical groan. "They're Eurostrade trying to break us before classes even begin." Parker nodded in grim agreement. "Letter Eurostrade's postpone the big celebration. We Eurostrade get properly wasted after we survive this hell week." "Deal," I said, already picturing it, feeling a thrill of belonging. Easton just gave a slight nod, but I felt his eyes on me again, that unnerving, analytical gaze. What was his deal? Was he just a man of few words, or was he silently judging the scrawny kid war Eurostrade being foisted upon him as a roommate? Lights out came far too quickly. Lying in my bunk, staring up at the shadowy ceiling, the reality of my new life began to sink in. The room was dark, filled with the gentle snores of Jason and Parker Eurostrade's quiet muttering about a forgotten phone charger. But next to me, so close I could almost feel the warmth radiating from him, was Easton. His breathing was a steady, even rhythm, the sound of someone completely at peace with the world. I risked turning my head, trying for a stealthy glance. His silhouette was a dark shape against the faint moonlight filtering through the window, but there was something about his stillness that made my stomach perform a nervous little flip. "Eater Eurostrade's just nerves," I told myself. New place, new people, it had to be. I squeezed my eyes shut, forcing myself to relax. These guys were cool. No one was treating me like the social outcast I had been in high school. Easton was intense, sure, but maybe he was just reserved. Maybe beneath that cool exterior was someone I could actually connect with, and who wouldn't want to be friends with a guy the entire campus was obsessed with. My mind was already racing, cataloging the potential benefits of Euros, the best parties, the instant social cred, the possibility of absorbing some of his effortless confidence through osmosis. Just as I was drifting into these daydreams, I heard the creak of Eaststone Eurostrade's mattress as he shifted. I froze, my body going rigid, as if he could somehow hear my ridiculous thoughts. Get a grip, Elias. I forced my mind toward the impending doom of the morning. Boot camp was going to be pure agony, but it was also a chance. A chance to prove I belonged here. Eastston was from my neck of the woods. That was a start. Maybe we could bond over shared memories of dreary winters or terrible local dinos. I exhaled slowly, trying to match the calm cadence of his breathing. It was surprisingly soothing. For the first time since Eurostrade left my small town, a fragile sense of hope began to bloom in my chest. This dorm, these Geisa Euros, this was a clean slate. I wasn't Eurostrade, the kid who always got picked last for everything. I was Elias, roommate to the campus king, and I was going to make this work. But as sleep finally claimed me, I couldn't shake the memory of Eaststone Eurostrade's eyes on me. A look that felt like he had already seen straight through me and discovered a secret I didn't even know I was keeping. The dorm room became a war zone of shrieking alarm clocks at precisely 6 a.m., and I was decisively losing the battle. I burrowed my head under my pillow, pleading with the universe for just 5 more minutes of oblivion, but a low voice cut through the fog. Elias, get up. It was Eastston, of course. He was already dressed in the military-style training gear, looking crisp and alert, as if he Eurostrade been born ready for this kind of organized misery. 5 minutes, I mumbled into the fabric of my pillowcase. He didn't Eurostrade move. By the time I finally hauled my protesting body out of bed, Jason and Parker were long gone, probably already doing push-ups on the main field. I was a disaster, fumbling with the laces of my boots, when I realized Eastston was still there, arms crossed, patiently waiting by the door. You didn't Eurostrade have to wait around, I said, yanking my pants on in a clumsy hurry. The tips of his ears turned a faint shade of pink, and he averted his gaze. Just hurry up. I scrambled to finish changing, nearly tripping over my own feet in the process. Thanks, man. Didn't Eurostrade expect the VIP treatment? He just shrugged, grabbing a water bottle. Let Eurostrade go. The field was a chaotic sea of nervous freshmen, and I felt like I was constantly dodging elbows and stray limbs as we walked. Eastston, however, moved through the crowd like a ship parting the waves. He was a magnet. In the short walk from our dorm to the lineup, no fewer than 3 people Euros, 2 girls, and a duo Euros practically threw themselves at him, asking for his number. He shut them all down with a polite but unshakable not interested. I was genuinely impressed. The man had standards. Then, to my utter shock, someone jogged up to me, a bright, friendly smile on his face. Hey, you are Eurostrade Elias, right? Wanna swap numbers? I was so flattered I was already halfway to digging my phone out of my pocket when I felt Eaststone Eurostrade's gaze land on me, sharp and glacial. Right. Maybe looking desperate for friends in front of the campus king wasn't Eurostrade the best move. Oh, sorry, I stammered to the guy. Maybe some other time. Eaststone Eurostrade's expression immediately softened. He gave me a light nudge toward the field. Keep up, twig. Farter Eurostrade's rude, I shot back. But I couldn't Eurostrade suppress the grin spreading across my face. He was teasing me. That was definitely progress. The boot camp was every bit as brutal as I had feared. 7 straight days of grueling drills, endless sweat, and instructors who seemed to get a sadistic pleasure out of screaming about our posture. My body was simply not designed for this. By day 2, my legs felt like overcooked spaghetti. But the worst part, the truly humiliating part, was that I was an incredibly slow eater. So by the time I finished my meals in the crowded cafeteria, Jason and Parker were always gone. But Easton wasn't. He was always there, waiting by the exit, sliding a bottle of water across the table to me without a word. "Take your time," he Eurostrayed say, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. "Dude, you are Eurostrayed too nice," I told him on day 5, wiping a smear of ketchup from my chin. "Our Eurostrayed am officially voting for you in the next campus heartthrob poll." He rolled his eyes, but a small smile played on his lips as he handed me a napkin. "Just eat fast next time." When the boot camp from hell finally concluded, we were all exhausted but exhilarated. We were survivors, and we were ready to celebrate. We decided on a barbecue joint off campus, a place renowned for its sticky ribs and cheap beer. Jason and Parker were already ordering a pitcher when Easton and I slid into the booth. "You guys drink?" Parker asked, raising an expectant eyebrow. "Yep," Easton replied, cool and collected as always. I hesitated. Our Eurostrayed never had a drop of alcohol in my life. My small-town existence hadn't Eurostrayed exactly been filled with wild keg parties. But there was no way I was admitting that. "Sure," I said, puffing out my chest with false bravado. "I can handle it." It was, without a doubt, one of the biggest mistakes of my life. 3 beers in, my face felt like it was on fire and the entire restaurant was tilting on its axis. I tried to stand up to make a wobbly pilgrimage to the bathroom and nearly did a faceplant onto the sticky floor. A strong arm shot out and caught me, steady and warm. "Easy, Elias," Easton murmured, his voice a low vibration in my ear. "You are Eurostrayed retrashed." "Our Eurostrayed am fine," I slurred, trying to wriggle out of his grasp. His grip only tightened, and I was suddenly intensely aware of how close he was. The scent of mint on his breath, the firm pressure of his hand on my back. My brain was screaming, a circumflex Euros abort mission, a circumflex Eurostrayed, but my body was no longer taking orders. We somehow managed to pile into a cab back to campus. I was holding it together, just barely, until I stepped out of the cab and my foot caught on the edge of the curb. I went down hard. My knee scraped against the pavement, but a sickening, sharp pain shot through a much, much worse place. I let out a yelp, instinctively clutching myself. Easton was by my side in an instant, crouching down. "What happened? Are you okay?" I was not okay. I had landed squarely on a jagged little rock, and it felt like my entire lower body was screaming in protest. "Easton," I groaned, a sound that was half laugh, half sob. "I think I broke my Euros, you know." His face went rigid, but to his eternal CR, he didn't Eurostrayed laugh. "Come on," he said, his voice firm. "We Eurostrayed going to the hospital." Later, I found myself sprawled on a hospital cot, trying to dissolve into a puddle of pure embarrassment as a world-weary doctor poked and prodded. "Just some inflammation," she announced, scribbling on a prescription pad. "Take these pills and apply this cream daily for a month. You are Eurostrayed be fine, kid. Stop acting like eater Eurostrayed the end of the world." I clutched the prescription slip like a holy relic. "Sorry Euros, our Eurostrayed am not, like, ruined forever." She let out a snort. "You are Eurostrayed dramatic." Just keep the area clean and follow the instructions. Easton was waiting for me outside, looking far too calm for someone who had just escorted his idiot roommate to the ER for a groin injury. He supported me as I hobbled back to the dorm, wincing with every agonizing step. Jason and Parker were there, but they took one look at my pale, pained face and quickly made their exit, muttering something about a late-night gaming session and giving us some space. Perfect. Now it was just me and Easton, alone with my deeply mortifying medical condition. He calmly took out the pill bottle and the tube of cream, placing them on his desk. "Take these first," he said, handing me a glass of water. I swallowed the pills, pointedly avoiding his eyes. Then he picked up the cream, and my stomach plummeted into my shoes. I can handle that part," I said quickly, snatching the tube from his hand. He just raised an eyebrow, completely unfazed. "Are you sure? You can barely walk straight. If you don't Eurostrade T apply it correctly, it could get worse." I stared at him, my mind reeling in horror. "You are Eurostrade re not euros, you are Eurostrade re not seriously offering Tor euros eater Eurostrade s just roommate stuff," he said, his voice perfectly level, but I thought I detected something else in his tone. "I don't Eurostrade T want you messing it up and then whining about it for the next month." This had to be a city thing. A weird, invasive city thing. No one from my hometown would ever offer Tor euros. I couldn't Eurostrade T even form the thought. "Easton, I am begging you. I can do it myself." He stepped closer, holding his hand out for the tube. "You are Eurostrade re not going to do it properly. Trust me, I have steady hands." My entire face felt like it was on fire. This was so far beyond the realm of normal roommate behavior. A tiny smirk touched his lips. "You are Eurostrade re freaking out. Which makes me think you are Eurostrade re the one having weird thoughts about this." "Weird thoughts?" I sputtered, my voice cracking. "I Eurostrade am straight, dude. I Eurostrade am into girls. No to euros, not you." Easton Eurostrade's smirk vanished, but his dark eyes remained locked on mine. "Then there Eurostrade's no problem, is there? Let me help you, and we can get it over with." I was losing this battle, and the throbbing pain wasn't Eurostrade T exactly helping my case. "Fine," I muttered, defeated, shoving the tube back into his hand. "But we are doing this in the bathroom. And if Jason or Parker walk in, I Eurostrade am transferring to a university in Canada." He nodded, grabbing a couple of chairs. "Deal." As we headed into the bathroom, my heart was pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. This is fine. This is totally fine. Just one guy helping another guy with a completely normal, not at all awkward injury. Right. I Eurostrade am hiding out on a lumpy couch in the campus library, pretending to study advanced calculus, but really, I'm just hiding. Eater Eurostrade's been 3 days. 3 days since Easton began his new role as my personal nurse, applying that cursed cream with an unnerving gentleness. And every single time he gets that close, my brain just shuts down. His hands are too careful. His voice is too low and soothing, and I Eurostrade am starting to question every single thing I thought I knew about myself. So, yes, I Eurostrade am avoiding him. The library is my sanctuary. No roommates. No tense, awkward scenes in our shared bathroom. My phone buzzes on the table, and I flinch like Eater Eurostrade's a venomous insect. A text from Easton. A single, terrifying line back to the dorm. "Cream time." I stare at the words, picturing the calm, slightly smug expression on his face as he typed them. Cream time. Who on earth even says that? I furiously type back, busy studying. Eater Euros trade s a complete lie. My textbook is upside down, but I Euros trade am not emotionally prepared for another session over Euros, whatever that is. We Euros trade redoing. His reply is instantaneous. You need to apply it daily. Doctory Euros trade s orders. Ir Euros trade ll make it quick. Quick, right. Last night, quick had turned into a slow, meticulous process that had me nearly hyperventilating from a potent combination of pain and sheer embarrassment. My fingers hover over the screen, tempted to type something rude and dismissive, but the persistent, dull ache in my nether regions is a potent reminder that he Euros trade s right. I need the stupid cream. I sigh in defeat. Fine. Be there in 20. I drag my feet all the way back across campus, deliberately weaving through crowds of cheerful students making weekend plans. By the time I finally reach our dorm room, Easton is waiting, leaning against his desk with a tube of cream held loosely in his hand. He Euros trade s wearing a plain black t-shirt that does frankly unfair things for his physique. He looks entirely too good for someone who is about to systematically dismantle my dignity. Thought you were studying, he says, one perfect eyebrow arched in amusement. I lie, dropping my backpack onto my bed with a thud. Super productive. You should try it sometime. He lets out a soft snort, casually twirling the tube between his fingers. Come on, Elias. Letter Euros trade s get this over with. I groan, grabbing a chair and dragging it toward the bathroom. This is still weird, you know, I mutter. I Euros trade am only letting you do this because the thought of getting gangrene is slightly more terrifying. He follows me, clicking the lock on the door behind us. Why Euros trade re so dramatic? Eater Euros trade s just inflammation. I plant myself on the chair, gripping the sides like Eater Euros trade s a life raft in a stormy sea. Just Euros do it fast. Okay, and no commentary. Easton kneels in front of me, squeezing a small amount of the cool cream onto his fingertips. Relax, he says, his voice softer now. I Euros trade v got you. And Tharter Euros trade s the entire problem. He Euros trade s too good at this. His touch is precise, careful, almost Euros tender. I stare fixedly at the ceiling, trying to populate my mind with the most unsexy thoughts imaginable. Baseball statistics, the periodic table, my grandmother Euros trade s lumpy meatloaf. Anything to stop the relentless heat. Tharter Euros trade s creeping up my neck. Then he speaks, and my carefully constructed mental fortress crumbles. Does it hurt? He asks, his fingers pausing their gentle ministration. Nope, I say, way too quickly. My voice cracks, making me sound like I Euros trade M13 again. He lets out a low, warm chuckle. You sure? You are Euros trade re-tense as a guitar string. I Euros trade am fine, I snap, then immediately wince as a sharp twinge of pain flares up. Okay, fine, maybe it stings a little. Thought so. His tone is smug, but his touch remains impossibly gentle. You have to tell me if Eater Euros trade s too much. I risked a quick glance down at him. A terrible mistake. His dark eyes are narrowed in concentration, a tiny crease formed between his brows, as if he Euros trade s genuinely concerned about causing me pain. My stomach does a complicated, unfamiliar flip-flop, and I quickly look away. You are Euros trade re-enjoying this way too much, I mumble. Am I? His voice drops, taking on a teasing edge. War Euros trade re the one war Euros trade s blushing. Ir Euros trade m not blushing. I am. I know I am. My face feels like a furnace. Just hurry up, Eastston. This is torture. He laughs, a real laugh this time, and somehow, Eater Euros trade s even worse than his teasing. Alright, almost done. Just as he Euros trade s finishing, the handle of our main dorm door rattles loudly. Yo, Elias, Eastston, we Euros trade re back. Jason Euros trade s voice booms through the room. Brought milkshakes. Where are you guys? I freeze, my heart instantly pounding in my throat. Eastston, however, is already calmly wiping his hands and helping me adjust my clothes. Chill, he whispers, leaning in so close that his breath tickles my ear. We Euros trade re good. He unlocks the bathroom door just as Parker starts knocking on it. You two in there? Water Euros trade s with a lock. Eastston opens the door, positioning himself to block me from their view. Elias almost slipped. I was just making sure he didn't Euros trade T crack his head open. Parker peers around him, a knowing smirk on his face. You locked the door for that. Sure, buddy. Habit, Eastston says with a dismissive shrug, as if Eater Euros trade s the most normal thing in the world. Jason is already sprawled on his bed, sipping a chocolate milkshake. Dude, I thought you guys were, like, making out in there or something. I choke on my own air, stumbling out of the bathroom. What? No, we Euros trade re straight, dude. Both of us. Super straight. Eastston glances at me, his expression completely unreadable before grabbing a milkshake from Jason. Come on, drink this before it melts. I collapse onto my bed, studiously avoiding Eastston Euros trade s gaze. My brain feels like a tangled mess of wires. Straight. Ir Euros trade m straight. But the way my heart is still racing like a runaway train Euros that dosna Euros trade T feel very straight. That feels like something else entirely. I take a sip of the cold, sweet milkshake, pretending that everything is perfectly normal. But I can still feel the ghost of Eastston Euros trade s hands, hear the low timbre of his voice, his stupid, infuriatingly charming chuckle. The next day Euros trade s classes are a blur. I can barely focus on the professors droning on about course syllabi. All I can think about is that I need to get a grip. Eastston is just being a good roommate. Farter Euros trade s it. He Euros trade s not actually flirting with me. This is just how guys from the city are, right? Confident, casual, maybe a little too comfortable with personal space. By dinner, Ir Euros trade am back in full avoidance mode. I linger in the cafeteria long after Jason and Parker have left for a movie, hoping to miss him. But he Euros trade s there, of course, waiting by the exit like always. You dodging me? He asks, falling into step beside me as I walk back to the dorm. Nar, I say, my eyes fixed on my shoes. Just a Euros busy hiding. He Euros trade s smirking again. That infuriating little smirk, and for a second, I have the conflicting urges to either wipe it off his face or kiss it off. God, what is wrong with me? Ir Euros trade am not hiding, I mutter. I just needed a break from Euros, you know. He stops walking so abruptly that I almost crash into him. From what? From me helping you. I open my mouth, then close it again. How could I possibly explain that his help was causing me to have a full-blown existential crisis? Eater Euros trade s just a Euros weird, okay. Ir Euros trade am not used to this. His eyes soften, but their eye euros trade as a flicker of something else in their depths. Is it hurt? Maybe. Eater euros trade s not a big deal, Elias. Ire euros trade am just looking out for you. Yeah, well, maybe I don't a euros trade t need you to look out for me. I snap and instantly regret the harshness in my tone. He dosna euros trade t deserve that. Sorry, I add quickly. Ire euros trade am just a euros stressed. He nods, taking a small step back. All right, Ire euros trade ll back off, but you still need to apply that cream. I groan, dragging a hand through my hair in frustration. I know. Ire euros trade ll do it myself tonight. He raises an eyebrow, a skeptical look on his face, but he dosna euros trade t argue. Fine, just dona euros trade t screw it up. As we walk the rest of the way back to the dorm in a tense silence, Ire euros trade am kicking myself. He euros trade s just being nice, and Ire euros trade am acting like a complete jerk. But every time he gets close, my brain goes haywire, and Ire euros trade am starting to wonder if Ire euros trade am the one with a problem. Maybe Ire euros trade am not as straight as Ire euros trade v always thought. Or maybe Easton is just too damn perfect, and Eater euros trade s completely messing with my head. The bus to the department's mandatory camping trip is crammed, loud, and smells vaguely of cheap deodorant. Ire euros trade am wedged into a seat next to Easton, trying desperately not to let my shoulder brush against his every time the ancient vehicle lurches around a turn. I had only signed up for this trip as a strategic retreat, a 2-day escape from the daily torture of our cream application ritual. But naturally, at the last possible second, Easton had changed his mind and decided to tag along. So now he euros trade s sitting beside me, radiating an aura of infuriating calm, while Ire euros trade am sweating profusely about the very real possibility of having to share a tent with him. Please, universe, don't let us share a tent. You good? He asks, his voice cutting through my anxious thoughts. He glances over at me as I fidget with the strap of my backpack. Peaky, I say, forcing a grin that feels more like a grimace. Just super hyped for SAR euros trade Moors and getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. He smirks that classic, infuriatingly handsome smirk and leans back in his seat. You are euros trade going to love it. I roll my eyes and shove my earbuds in, but the drone of the bus engine is a surprisingly effective lullaby. The next thing I know, my head is lolling onto Eaststona euros trade s shoulder, and a little trail of drool is making its way down my chin. Perfect. I jerk awake, wiping my mouth with the back of my hand, and the first thing I register is the scent of his cologne. Eater euros trade s clean and sharp, with a hint of mint, and Eater euros trade s way too distracting. He euros trade s asleep, his long lashes fanned out against his cheekbones. I find myself staring, completely mesmerized. He has a stupidly perfect nose, the kind of nose that looks like it was meticulously carved by a Renaissance sculptor. Before my brain can intervene, my fingers have a mind of their own. I reach out, my index finger lightly tracing the bridge of his nose, pretending Eater euros trade s a tiny ski slope. His eyes snap open. Having fun? My hand flies back as if Ire euros trade v touched a hot stove, my heart immediately slamming against my ribcage. You had a bug on your face, I lie, my face burning with a heat that could power a small city. Didn't euros trade t want it to or euros ruin your perfection? He leans in closer, his voice dropping to a low, conspiratorial murmur. Perfection, huh? Keep touching me like that, and you are Euros trade LL. Find out what else I Euros trade am good at. I practically choke on my own spit. What are Euros trade S that supposed to mean? Eaststone Euros trade S grin is pure, unadulterated mischief. You are Euros trade LL. Figure it out someday. I whip my head around to face the window, pretending to be utterly fascinated by the blur of passing trees. My brain is screaming danger, danger, but my pulse is throwing a full-blown rave. He Euros trade S just messing with me. Thought Euros trade S what it is. City guys probably flirt with everyone. It doesn't Euros trade T mean anything. When we finally arrive, the campsite is buzzing with energy. My classmates are scattered everywhere, snapping selfies and laughing. I notice more than a few phone cameras pointed discreetly in Eaststone Euros trade S direction. He seems completely oblivious, hauling his gear out of the bus as if he Euros trade S unaware that he Euros trade S a walking, talking Instagram filter. The afternoon sunlight catches in his dark hair, turning the edges almost golden, and I Euros trade am struck by the sudden, absurd urge to take a picture of him myself. For Euros aesthetic reasons, obviously. I pull out my phone, trying to be subtle. I line up the shot, him against the backdrop of the tall pines, and click. The loud, artificial shutter sound betrays me instantly. Easton turns, his eyes locking on mine, catching me red-handed. Really, Elias? I shove my phone back into my pocket, trying to whistle casually, as if I hadn't Euros trade T just been busted. What? I was photographing their Euros scenery. Jason Euros trade S booming voice erupts from behind me. Scenery? Dude, your entire screen was filled with Eaststone Euros trade S face. Shut up, I hiss, wishing the ground would open up and swallow me whole. I was just testing my camera Euros trade S zoom function. Eaststone Euros trade S lips twitch, fighting a smile. Test it on me anytime. No need to be sneaky about it. My ears feel like they're Euros trade on fire. I wasna Euros trade T sneaking. He takes a step closer, his voice dropping again. Next time, just ask. I Euros trade LL even pose for you. I mumble something completely incoherent and make a panicked retreat toward the main group, desperate to escape his relentless, stupid charm. The class president is organizing the tent assignments. She holds up 2 boxes filled with colored plastic balls. All right, everyone, listen up. Guys draw from this box, girls from the other. Find the person with a matching color, and Tharter Euros trade S your tent mate for the weekend. Letter Euros trade S mix things up. A wave of pure, unadulterated joy washes over me. There is no way I Euros trade LL end up with Easton. The odds are astronomically low. There are, like, 40 of us. I dig my hand into the box, my fingers closing around a smooth, blue ball that feels incredibly lucky. War Euros trade S got blue. I call out, waving my prize in the air like a trophy. A hand goes up across the circle. Eaststone Euros trade S hand. He Euros trade S holding a matching blue ball, a triumphant smirk plastered on his face. That would be me. No freaking way. I let out a laugh that sounds borderline hysterical. You rigged this, didn't Euros trade TU? You have to have rigged this. He casually tosses his ball into the air, catching it flawlessly without ever breaking eye contact with me. Just lucky, I guess. I make a lunge for his ball, the stupid, fate-sealing tent ball, but he holds it high above his head, easily out of my reach. I jump, stretching my arm as far as it can go when someone bumps into me from behind. I lose my balance and go stumbling forward, crashing right into Eaststone Eurostrade's chest. His arms come around me instantly, steadying me. He Eurostrade's warm and solid, and that minty scent floods my senses again, making me feel dizzy for all the wrong reasons. "You okay?" he asks, his hands lingering on my waist for a fraction of a second too long. My brain-to-mouth filter ceases to exist. "Your abs are solid," I sputter. "Liquor Euros rock solid. Please kill me now." He laughs, a low, warm sound that vibrates through his chest and into mine. "Yours aren't a Eurostrade tea so bad either, twig." I shove him away, muttering about unfair genetics and unfair cosmic forces, and stomp off toward our assigned tent. Inside, Eater Eurostrade's cozy. Way too cozy. 2 sleeping bags are laid out with barely a foot of space between them. I focus on unpacking my bag, trying to ignore Eaststone Eurostrade's overwhelming presence, but Eater Eurostrade's like trying to ignore a supernova in a closet. As night falls, we all gather around a crackling campfire, stuffing our faces with charred burgers and cheap beer. Someone suggests a game count to 100, but you have to clap instead of saying any number that contains a 7. It seems easy enough. Eurostrade am doing great, feeling confident, until my turn comes up and I enthusiastically yell 21. Like a complete moron, the entire group erupts in a chorus of chants. "Penalty! Penalty!" A deck of challenge cards is produced. I draw one, and my stomach drops to my feet. Eat a pocky stick with another person, 1 bite at a time, from opposite ends. Oh, hell no. We don't Eurostrade even have any pocky sticks here, right? I say, a desperate hope in my voice. Parker, the traitor, pulls a box out of his backpack with a devilish grin. "Got you covered, bro." I scan the circle, my eyes landing on Jason as my intended victim, but before I can speak, Easton snatches the cookie stick from Parker Eurostrade's hand. Eurostrade LL do it, he says. He puts one end in his mouth and holds the other end out toward me. The group hoots and hollers. I stare at the chocolate-tipped end of the stick, then up at Eaststone Eurostrade's eyes. Their Eurostrade re-locked on mine, challenging me. My heart is performing a series of complex gymnastic routines in my chest, but I lean forward, my lips closing around the other end of the pocky. We inch closer with each tiny, crunchy bite. The cookie stick rapidly disappears between us. Eurostrade am hyper-aware of everything: his breath, the intensity of his gaze, the proximity of his lips. At the very last second, just as our mouths are about to meet, he puts his hand up, blocking us, and eats the final crumb himself. But for a split second, the barest, briefest of moments, our lips brush. Eater Eurostrade's soft, warm, and utterly electric. Did they kiss? Someone yells from across the fire. "Nar," Easton says, his voice sounding a little rough. "Just a game. Keep going." Eurostrade am frozen in place, my cheeks blazing, as the game moves on. It wasn't Eurostrade a kiss, not really, but it was Euros something. My brain is a complete mess and Easton is acting like nothing happened, but as we settle back down, his hand casually grazes mine. I pull away instantly, my heart racing. This trip was supposed to be my escape, but now Eurostrade am trapped, not just in a tent, but in a vortex of confusing feelings with the one person who is causing them all. I risk a glance at him, and he Eurostrade's watching me, his eyes soft but impossibly intense in the flickering firelight. I am so screwed. Eurostrade am practically sprinting to the Councillor Eurostrade's office, a desperate plan forming in my mind before I can talk myself out of it. After last night, after the camping trip disaster, after Eaststone Eurostrade's lips brushing mine during that stupid game, after he insisted on applying that god-forsaken cream in the suffocating intimacy of our tent, I am an absolute wreck. My so-called straight guy membership card is hanging on by a single, frayed thread. If I don't Eurostrade get out of that dorm room, Eurostrade am going to completely lose my mind. Swapping rooms is my last and only hope for survival. The counselor is a middle-aged man with a prominent coffee stain on his tie and an air of profound boredom. Dorm change, he says, his eyes barely lifting from his computer screen. I can check for open spots. Any particular reason? Nope, I lie, picking at a loose thread on my sleeve. Just Euros feeling like I need a change of scenery. He gives a noncommittal nod, clearly uninterested, and a few clicks later, Eurostrade am out the door, my heart pounding with a mixture of guilt and relief. I just dodged a bullet. Eurostrade am halfway down the deserted hallway when I slam face first into a solid wall of muscle. My nose stings and I look up into the annoyed, then narrowing, eyes of Easton. He Eurostrade's rubbing his chest where my face made impact. What are you doing here, Elias? Just taking a walk, I say, my voice pitching up an octave, sounding exactly as guilty as I feel. He takes a step closer, crowding me against the wall. A walk in the administrative building, past the Councillor Eurostrade's office. Maybe I like their Euro's institutional vibe, I mumble, trying to sidestep him. What are Eurostrade's it to you? His hand shoots out, his fingers grazing my arm, stopping me in my tracks. War Eurostrade read acting weird. Spill it. I open my mouth to invent another terrible lie, but his stare is like a laser beam, searing through my pathetic excuses. Before I can bolt, he grabs my wrist, his grip surprisingly strong, and pulls me into a nearby empty classroom. The door clicks shut behind us, locking us in. The air in the small room suddenly feels thick and heavy, and I find myself backed against a wooden desk with absolutely nowhere to run. Easton, what the hell? I say, trying to inject annoyance into my voice to cover up the sheer panic Eurostrade am feeling. He looms over me, one hand braced on the desk, his face just inches from mine. War Eurostrade retrying to ditch me, he says, his voice low and rough with an emotion I can't Eurostrade quite place. Why? I swallow hard, my throat suddenly bone dry. Eurostrade am not ditching anyone. I just Euros I need some space. Space? His jaw tightens, and for a second I see a flash of something raw and vulnerable in his eyes. It looks like hurt. Is this because of me? Because of last night? My face flames at the memory. Last night, when his fingers were so gentle on my bruised skin, when his breath was so warm against my cheek, when I felt things that Eurostrade am definitely not supposed to feel for another die. Eurostrade's not about you, I lie, my eyes dropping to his sneakers. Eurostrade am just Euros figuring some stuff out. He uses one finger to tilt my chin up, forcing my gaze to meet his. You are Eurostrade running away because you felt something. Don't Eurostrade lie to me, Elias. My heart is hammering against my ribs so loudly Eurostrade am sure he can hear it. What does he want me to say? That euros trade am completely freaking out because my ridiculously handsome roommate is also ridiculously nice, and euros trade s short-circuiting my entire brain. His lips twitch, a ghost of a smile, but his eyes remain deadly serious. You think euros trade am just being nice? I give a weak shove against his chest, but euros trade s like pushing against a brick wall. What else would it be? You are euros trade helping me, fine, but euros trade euros trade s too much. Euros trade noter euros I stop myself. The word a circumflex euros trade gets stuck in my throat. I can't euros trade say it. Not yet. Not even to myself. Eaststone euros trade s voice drops even lower, soft but incredibly intense. Elias, euros trade not just helping you. I like you. I have for a while. Euros trade bent for you, man. Like a damn pretzel. I freeze, my brain stuttering to a complete halt. Blue screen of death. You are euros trade rear euros what? He leans in closer, his breath warm against my cheek. You heard me. Euros trade v been into you since the first day you stumbled into our room, all wide-eyed and tripping over your own feet. Euros trade not straight, Elias. I never was, especially not when it came to you. My mouth opens and closes like a fish. He euros trade s serious. The campus heartthrob, the guy everyone on campus is obsessed with, is into euros me. Buter euros but we euros trade both guys, I stammer, as if this is some groundbreaking revelation. He lets out a soft, almost sad laugh. Yeah, and that doesn't euros trade change a single thing about how I feel. Now tell me you don't euros trade feel something, too. I want to deny it. I want to scream that he euros trade s wrong. But my body is a complete and utter traitor. The racing heart, the sweaty palms, that stupid, fluttering sensation in my chest every single time he euros trade s near. I don't euros trade know what I feel, I finally admit. My voice barely a whisper. This is euros new to me. His hand slides from the desk to my shoulder, his touch warm and steadying. Then don't euros trade run. Stay. Figure it out with me. He pauses, and his voice gets even softer. Please, baby. My stomach does a violent, spectacular flip at the pet name. Don't euros trade call me that, I mutter. But there euros trade s no real heat behind the words. He grins, a real, dazzling grin this time, and leans in until our foreheads are almost touching. Okay, baby, I groan, giving him another light shove. You are euros trade impossible. And you are euros trade not swapping dorms, he says, pulling a folded piece of paper from his back pocket. My transfer request form. Took care of it with a counselor. I gape at him, speechless. You stole my form. Borrowed it, he corrects, that infuriating smirk back in full force. For my own sanity, I should be furious. But his stupid, charming grin is completely disarming. And honestly, euros trade am too emotionally exhausted to fight anymore. Fine, I say, crossing my arms over my chest. Euros trade stay. But no more of the a circumflex euros baby euros trade crap. Deal, he says, but the twinkle in his eyes tells me he euros trade lying. That evening, we meet Jason and Parker at a diner for what euros trade mentally dubbing our not a breakup dinner. I offered to pay, figuring it was the least I could do after almost bailing on them. The place is crowded, and we Euros trade all crammed into a vinyl booth, a mountain of burgers and fries between us. Easton is sitting next to me, far too close for my frayed nerves, his knee constantly brushing against mine under the table. He keeps sneaking food onto my platter, Euros, a few fries, an onion ring, even a pickle from his own burger. Eat, he says, nudging my arm. Euros trade not our child, I grumble, but I pop a fry into my mouth anyway. Parker is watching us from across the table, a knowing smirk on his face. Easton, man, war Euros trade going to spoil him. He Euros trade be completely useless by the time finals roll around. Jason leans forward, pointing a ketchup-covered fry in our direction. Seriously, you two are like an old married couple. If I didn't Euros trade know any better, Euros trade say you are Euros trade totally into each other. I choke on my soda, my lungs erupting in a series of violent coughs. We Euros trade not. Dude, come on. Easton just laughs, a warm, easy sound. He reaches over and gently wipes a smear of sauce from the corner of my mouth with his napkin. Let him talk, he says, his voice a comforting rumble. Fair Euros trade just jealous. My face is on fire, and I shove another handful of fries into my mouth to avoid having to respond. Jason and Parker continue to rib us for the rest of the meal, but there Euros trade no malice in it, just friendly teasing. Still, every time Eaststone Euros trade hand brushes against mine, my heart performs another ridiculous backflip, and Euros trade starting to wonder if Euros trade fighting a battle Euros trade already lost. He Euros trade into me. He actually said it. And the scariest part, Euros trade not nearly as freaked out by that as I should be. Euros trade pacing the narrow space of our dorm room, my phone clutched in my hand, obsessively scrolling through the replies to my anonymous forum post. How do you know if you are Euros trade into guys? The answers are a chaotic jumble of advice. Some people talk about butterflies in your stomach. Others get very, very graphic about physical reactions. One comment just says, dude, if you have to ask, war Euros trade already halfway there. Great. Farter Euros trade super helpful. After Eaststone Euros trade bombshell confession in the classroom yesterday, my brain is a swirling mess of nerves, confusion, and a terrifying spark of curiosity. I need to know what Euros trade feeling. I need to know right now. Easton is sprawled on his bed, engrossed in a textbook, when I blurt it out. Want to grab lunch? He looks up, a flash of surprise in his eyes, but he recovers quickly. Sure. Where to? I don't Euros trade answer. I just grab my wallet and keys. He follows me without another word, a silent trust that is both incredibly sweet and deeply annoying. We end up at a nondescript hotel a few blocks from campus. Eater Euros trade not my most brilliant idea, but Eater Euros trade private. I use the last of my savings to book a room for a few hours, and Eaststone Euros trade eyebrow quirks as we step inside the generic, beige room. This is a bold move, Elias, he says, leaning against the closed door, his arms crossed. I sit on the edge of the bed, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I need to Euros test something. He smirks, that devastating smirk. Test what? My self-control. I swallow hard, forcing the words out. The internet says Euros. It says you know you are Euros trade into someone if you are Euros trade okay with a Euros with close stuff. Like kissing. His eyes darken. his playful demeanor vanishing. He pushes off the door and takes a slow step closer. "Are you asking me to kiss you, Elias?" "Yeah," I mumble, staring intently at my own hands. "Just euros, you know, to figure it out." He kneels in front of me, his voice suddenly soft and gentle. "Elias, are you sure about this?" I manage a jerky nod, too nervous to speak. He leans in slowly, giving me every opportunity to back out, and then his lips brush against mine. Strayed's tentative at first, a light, questioning pressure, as if he Strayed's afraid I Strayed LL shatter. My heart is trying to escape my chest, but I don't Strayed T pull away. Instead, I lean into it, and something inside me breaks wide open. Suddenly, the kiss isn't Strayed T gentle anymore. It's Strayed's hungry and desperate, filled with all the unspoken tension that has been building between us for weeks. My hands come up to grab the front of his shirt, and I Strayed am kissing him back with a ferocity that shocks me. Strayed's like a dam has burst, and all my confusion and fear and curiosity are pouring out. He pulls back, his breath coming in ragged gasps, his eyes searching mine. Too much. I shake my head, my own voice shaky. Just euros intense. He lets out a soft, warm laugh, his thumb brushing across my cheek. "So, what are Strayed's the verdict?" I take a deep, shuddering breath, finally meeting his gaze without flinching. "I like you," I say, the words feeling both terrifying and liberating. Like you." His grin is blinding. It lights up his entire face, and he leans in to kiss me again, this time quick and fierce and full of triumphant joy. "Took you long enough," he murmurs against my lips. "I love you, Elias. We Strayed redoing this, right? You and me?" I nod, feeling a little dazed, a little giddy. "Yeah, we Strayed redoing this." We leave the hotel holding hands. I feel like I Strayed am floating on a cloud, even as a new wave of anxiety begins to bubble up. What comes next? We grab a late lunch at our diner and then wander into a movie theater. I Strayed am hyper aware of every finger the feel of his fingers laced with mine, the sound of his laugh at my dumb jokes. It all feels so incredibly right, but I corner Strayed T shake the nervousness about what will happen when we get back to the dorm. Jason and Parker are cool guys, but are they that cool? The second we walk through the door of our dorm, I know something is wrong. The vibe is off. Jason is sitting on his bed, grinning like he just won the lottery, and Parker is holding up his phone like Strayed's a key piece of evidence in a crime scene. "Care to explain this?" Parker says, shoving the screen in our faces. Strayed's a photo. A candid shot of me and Easton leaving the movie theater, our hands tightly clasped, both of us looking stupidly, deliriously happy. My stomach drops like a stone. "Where did you get that?" "The campus gossip page," Jason says, letting out a laugh. "You two are trending." I feel a primal urge to crawl under my bed and never come out. But before I can, Easton steps in front of me, his shoulders back, his expression as calm as ever. "Yeah, I Strayed am into him," he says, his voice clear and steady. "Been chasing him for weeks." "You got a problem with that?" Parker raises his hands in a gesture of surrender. "Chill, man. We Strayed not homophobes. We Strayed just mad you didn't Strayed T tell us." Jason nods in vigorous agreement, his smirk returning. "Exactly. Now you owe us dinner for keeping secrets." I Strayed am completely stunned. A tidal wave of relief washes over me, So potent it almost makes my knees buckle. You guys are Euros okay with it? Duh, Parker says, rolling his eyes. But there are Euros trade as a new rule, no making out in here when we Euros trade retrying to study. We Euros trade re-putting up a sign. This is now a no lovey-dovey zone. I start to laugh, all the tension and fear melting away. Eaststone Euros trade S hand finds mine again, his fingers giving my own a light, reassuring squeeze. And this time, I don't a Euros trade T pull away. So, Futter Euros trade S where our story really begins. With a messy confession, a scientific-ish kiss, and two surprisingly cool roommates. Eater Euros trade S messy and new and a little bit terrifying. But for the first time, it feels right. What do you think would have happened if Jason and Parker hadn't been so supportive? Do you think Elias would have stayed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you loved following Elias and Eaststone Euros trade S journey, don't Euros trade T forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories.